As the Phillies begin to pick up the pieces and build a roster capable of getting deeper in the playoffs than we were able to see last year, one clear issue has come to mind: Taijuan Walker. So as the Phillies search to replace him in the best way possible, an interesting name has entered the conversation in Shane Bieber here. This first propping up from Sports Illustrated, writing an article saying that potential Philadelphia Phillies free agent target viewed as under-the-radar addition. And to dive into exactly what he writes here, he says that pitcher is Shane Bieber, who Philadelphia has been linked to over the past 12 months. Jim Bowden of The Athletic predicted that Bieber would earn a low base salary with incentives, which would be the best outcome for the Phillies if they wanted him. Quote, Shane Bieber will likely be the pick for the best value signing of the offseason because of his upside. The AL Cy Young Award winner in 2020, he finished 4th in voting in 2019 and 7th in 2022. He's a 2-time All-Star and a former Gold Glove winner. He made only 2 starts this year before undergoing Tommy John surgery, which will put him out of service until at least next summer. However, if he comes back healthy, whoever signs him may have a Cy Young caliber pitcher for the second half of the season. The only reason Bieber will be as cheap as Bowden predicts is because he had Tommy John surgery after starting just 2 games last year. So with things being set there, Luke, what is your initial reaction to Shane Bieber potentially being connected to the Phillies?
Yeah, I would love a healthy Shane Bieber. The matter is if he'd be healthy. He obviously had the Tommy John surgery. He's thrown over 25 starts in a season just twice in his career since 2018. 2023 was a pretty good year for him. Definitely not anything to write home about. If you're looking back at his previous years, I would really look at 2022. That was really a year for him. I would say other than the pandemic year, that was really his best season. He had a 2.88 ERA with 172 hits, 198 strikeouts. He had a really good season that year. And that 2020 COVID season, he had a 1.63 in 12 starts with 122 strikeouts in 12 starts. He was striking out 14 and a half guys per 9 innings. Listen, I don't think they're getting that Shane Bieber. I don't think anybody will ever, unfortunately, get that Shane Bieber again. But this is a move that could make sense. The issue is he's not going to pitch till at least the summer. I don't think you'd probably see him till at least July or August. So if the Phillies are willing to give a guy like that some money to really come back in the second half of the year, I think that could be a move. He's projected right now around a 6-year, $147 million contract. I don't see a team giving him that long. This almost feels like a 1 or 2 year prove it deal kind of thing. Like you said, like with the incentives and things like that. If a team wanted to go out and give him, a 1 year, $17-18 million contract, maybe that would be ideal. And then you have those things built in, like the innings and the incentives and sort of stuff like that. But I don't really think any team should be giving him this 6-year deal that he's projected right now. But listen, if you're getting a healthy Shane Bieber for the second half of the year, that would be massive for this rotation.
Yeah, and the biggest thing about this rotation for this Phillies team, like Taijuan Walker was an absolute black hole this season, that we knew how things went down and how bad it got, even with like the midseason, kind of pulling the plug, letting him do this rehab assignment, whatever, pitching out of the bullpen, all the different stops they did pull out. The reality is he just was not good enough. And that contract, by the way, not going away, as he's still on the books for this season and one more. I think there's like a 0% chance that any team would take on Taijuan Walker without at least the promise of the Phillies fulfilling that contract there, or a significant portion of it. They got to find a way to replace them. And that's where I think this conversation comes up with Shane Bieber. Now, to add a little bit more to the breakdown, the article continues on to say, as the 15th ranked player on this list, and this kind of talking about the contract standpoint, one would think that Shane Bieber would have a large salary projection. However, Bieber pitching all of 2 games after a down couple of years has severely impacted his value on the open market, and that is reflected here. Rather than have an actual dollar figure for Bieber, Bowden goes a broad statement that seems pretty likely to happen. Quote, a low base salary with incentives for games started and innings pitched plus option years. This is not anything earth-shattering. Most have been expecting Bieber to get that type of offer when taking everything that has transpired over the past few years into consideration. A contract of this length would be mutually beneficial, as Bieber would also be able to rebuild his value, while the Guardians would be able to hopefully reinsert him into the rotation, or in this case, bring up from the Phillies' perspective here. Now, as far as the outlook for the starting rotation, we know things are pretty locked down. That I think the Phillies are in a far better position than most teams when it comes to that. That we're talking about Zack Wheeler, we're talking about Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, who I think is a huge storyline from last year, and let's not forget about Ranger Suarez, who looked like a Cy Young candidate himself for the first half of last season. It really is just that fifth spot that is the question mark here. Now, there's been plenty of praise to Andrew Painter himself, and I do think that there is a belief in kind of the next generation beginning to start where you roll him into this fifth spot in the rotation. Do you think that is more likely to happen, Luke, or do you think it's necessary that this Phillies team goes out and gets somebody?
Yeah, I think they're going to go out and get at least someone. I don't think Taijuan Walker is going to be your fifth starter for the fifth game of the season, but I also don't think it's going to be Andrew Painter.
Okay.
I don't think they've made it very obvious that they are not going to rush Andrew Painter. They're not going to throw him in the rotation next year just because they need a spot. If they need to go find a guy to hold it down for a month or two before he's ready, then that's exactly what they're going to do. Maybe like a Spencer Turnbull guy, whether it's, bring him back on another 1-year deal or go find a guy like that. I don't think Painter is going to be in there opening day. I don't think he's going to be on the roster opening day. I just don't think there is no reason to rush him at this moment in time. You have 4 really good starters. There is a ton of options for a fifth one. There's guys in the organization that could maybe give it a shot, maybe to start the year. But there's no reason for me right now for them to rush him. And I think they know that. They've made that very obvious. So I don't think it's going to be Walker, and I don't think it's going to be Painter. I think it's going to be another guy, whether it's, a free agent on a bigger deal, on a 1-year deal, or if it's a guy they trade for, whatever. I don't see it being either of those two guys.
Okay. Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought you would have a little bit more optimism that Painter could be the guy. I hear you on them being cautious. It does.
I think he will be like eventually he will be the guy. Like
right.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's not going anywhere. He's gonna pitch starts next year for the Phillies. I just don't think it'll be before June.
Okay. All right,
I don't think they see a reason to rush it. I think they want him to have some AAA starts next year. He still has never pitched in AAA. And I mean, granted, they do say sometimes the talent in AA is higher than it is for AAA, but I don't there's just not a single reason for them to rush him in the rotation for April next year.
Yeah, no, I do think that's fair there. So I'm do more so lean towards I would like to, seek outside the organization. I don't think you can ever have enough pitching, so I would not mind rolling the dice with this type of move here. So as we do with each of these videos, let's wrap things up with 2 ratings of what is your interest of likelihood from 1 to 10 for Shane Bieber, and from 1 to 10, how likely do you think it is that he does come to Philadelphia this offseason?
I don't think it's very likely.
Okay.
I think there will be another team that'll give him a shot. There's a lot of teams that can give him a shot that need him a lot more than we do. But if he got healthy and was the Shane Bieber we've seen from August to the end, I mean, I'd be like an 11. Like I would want that so much. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say level of actually coming here, probably a 2.
Okay.
If I knew we were getting a good Shane Bieber for the back half, I would probably go up to like 7, maybe. Like I mean, if he's on the field, he's an unbelievable pitcher.
Yeah. I'm right with you as far as the 2 for likelihood. This is not something that I think is, overly likely to happen for this Phillies team, but I would love it, man. The thing about the 5th starter for me that I think gets lost in this is, like, obviously you can't have the best pitcher in every single matchup. It's just not going to work like that. But where the wheels fall off, and I think did last year for this Phillies team, is when you're basically having scheduled losses in those opportunities, it just puts so much pressure on these Zack Wheelers and Aaron Nolas to make sure you're taking care of business that you really can't afford for them to have a bad start. And I hated that's kind of how things transpired last year. So I would. But
it is funny too, like, to think about that, and as far as like how many times are you better in the matchup, right? If you put Shane Bieber in there in August, and your rotation in August was Wheeler, Nola, Bieber, Sanchez, Ranger.
It's filthy.
If you went up in the National League, probably all of baseball, maybe not the Tigers, but I don't think there's a number one that's better than Wheeler. There's not many number twos that are better than Nola. There's not a number three that I would want more than a healthy Shane Bieber. There's not a number 4 better than Christopher Sanchez, and there's not a number 5 better than Ranger Suarez. Like, it's just like, if you played a 5-game series against a really good team in August and you started 1 through 5, boom, I think we have the advantage in every single matchup.
Yeah, no, that's a strong argument.
It's wild to think about,
yeah,
but like, it's true.
So Dave Dombrowski, maybe we do build off the mound there. So ultimately, we'll see how things shake out from here. But let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments on Shane Bieber specifically. Give your ratings below. What is your belief in, from 1 to 10, how likely it is, and 1 to 10, how badly you want to see him in red pinstripes next year. So appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. As always, make sure you smash that subscribe button if you have not already. Dropping a like on this video, and me and Luke will be back. Talk with you next time. Peace.